Hi, I'm back. It's been a little while. Today we're making red beans and rice. The recipes that I found online are not quite what I remember having. What I made in the past, which was absolutely outstanding, like gotta try it, comes from a recipe card that I bought in New Orleans when I was there for the Sugar Bowl in 2001, when the Hurricanes beat the Gators. Woo. So it was outstanding. So I had to pull out some of those ingredients to put into this recipe, but it is heavenly and you will love this, bar none. So what I'm going to do is start off by just heating up my pan. I have a big one. I took my red beans. The recipe that I found that I'm modifying called for about a pound, 16 ounces, and I'm probably close to doubling the whole recipe. That includes doubling all of the other ingredients. So I'm just starting off by warming the pan, and I need some oil for the bottom. Might give that a minute while it's warming up. The next thing, after I get the oil and the pot warmed up, will be to brown this andouille sausage. So the recipe that I saw called for 14 ounces, and I probably have closer to 25. So my pan is warming up. I have a little bit of oil. First thing to do will be to put your andouille sausage in. Little teeny sizzle, so it's probably not hot enough. There's my impatience again. But I'm putting this in here and I'm gonna let it go until it's all nice and evenly browned, then put it into my bowl. So it is starting to come along. I put the apron on because if you haven't already seen it, I splatter everything I cook onto my clothes and everything else. So I will come back when these are nicely browned and I'll show you the next step. So these are actually really nicely browned. The next step is to take them out. I have the little slotted, I don't know if it's a spoon. It's a little slotted device. And then you take this out of the oil and leave the oil in the pan. So those smell really good already. You know, I was thinking you could take this andouille like this and put it in mac and cheese with like sharp cheddar, maybe a little Velveeta, Gruyere, Parmesan, and then sprinkle some green onion on top. Do you know how good that would be? Okay. This is not in the recipes that I found, but was part of the original recipes, salt pork. So I just took a piece, 12 ounces. I'm just gonna brown that up a little bit and maybe just leave it in the pan. I'm not gonna add salt when I add my seasonings here in a minute because if the salt had salt added. So what I'm going to do is let this cook in the mixture, and when I'm ready to finalize it and finish the dish, then I'll taste it and add whatever might be left that I need. So I'm just gonna let this brown a bit and I will be right back. Okay, I don't know if you see my dirty stove on here. William cleans it for me. I pay him and then he gets to buy stuff with the money, so he's gonna have to clean it. But anyway, so I have this in here. I might leave it in there for now. What I'm gonna do is add the vegetable piece, which is basically 2 onions, 2 bell peppers, the white part of the leek, and 4 celery sticks. That was cute, wasn't it? Okay, so I'm gonna let this stir up. Soften, saute. I have the salt pork in there because I want it to keep cooking. This actually soaked up whatever oil was in there. So I'm gonna give this a minute. What I might do while that's cooking is start adding some of the spices or the seasonings. So black pepper, it's usually to taste, but I eyeball it. I know what I like. So I have some smoked paprika, and then just, where is it? I might need a spoon. Here, I'll loosen it up with some of this. So that's at least a teaspoon. This is just regular sweet paprika. We'll add, oh, there's a good nice, at least a teaspoon. Dried oregano. Teaspoon, half teaspoon. Cayenne. Give it some heat, a little kick. And I need my little utensil. Half a teaspoon. Garlic powder. Right now I'm just guesstimating these are all roughly equal volumes. Onion powder. What did I leave over here? I'll take a few sprigs of thyme. Maybe what I'll do is just pull the thyme off the sprigs. Like that. So I don't have any like little wooden skewers in here for everybody to eat or chew. And one more. I'm just letting all of those spices roast a little bit in the pan. While I stir and cook. And it's turning red and beautiful. Now, the next step isn't in any of the recipes I had, but I want to try it. And it's adding a little bit of dry vermouth to the bottom. I'm going to give this a minute more to cook. Then I'll add a little dry vermouth to deglaze and just stir up all those bits. And it won't come out with the rest of the recipe. Okay, just give this a minute while we're cooking here. So the onions, I think, have given up their moisture, and that's already cooked away. So I'll add maybe about 1/3 of a cup. Not too much because this is one of my experiments. That was the heat that got in my eyes, by the way. So we're just deglazing a little bit. Cooking down the alcohol. That's almost dry again. Okay. So the next step is to add a ham hock and your pre-soaked beans. The recipe calls for water, but you know me, when do I add water? I'm going to add 1 quart of beef stock. I like stock more than broth because it'll have a little more richness and flavor. And 1 quart of bone broth. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a pork stock at the grocery store. If they had it, I might be using it. So this, what I'll do next is just bring this to a boil, cover it, and simmer it for at least an hour. And then I'll come back and look at it, taste it, and then we'll go to the next step. Did I forget? I almost forgot. 2 big bay leaves will go in here also. Can't believe I almost forgot that. Yeah. I'll take a big one, a medium, and a little, maybe the equivalent of 2 big ones. So boil, cover, simmer at least an hour, and then we'll be back. I can't believe I almost forgot. I'll add about a tablespoon of garlic to this, minced garlic. Make sure I have all the flavors in it. We're still working it. If if I'm gummy, it's because I have peanut butter in my mouth. I've been snacking. So after an hour of simmering, I actually have to admit, since I almost doubled the recipe, I added another ham hock and another salt pork, so it's got 2 and 2. But that's a double recipe. After about an hour of simmering, I added probably, again, more garlic powder, paprika, and then I've been sprinkling salt in there to season it as it's going along. I also added a big fat tablespoon of my favorite Better Than Bouillon beef. And now what I'm doing is I'm just stirring and cooking and letting it boil to get some of that extra water off. I want it to be a little bit thicker than a soup consistency. So we're just stirring, tasting periodically, add salt if I feel like it needs it. And we're going. Ashley tasted it and liked it.
It tastes very, very good.
So as it gets really close, what we'll do is we'll lower it even more, and then we'll start our rice, and then we'll see how it all comes out. So this is continuing to cook and thicken. The water's boiling down and thickening, so I want to do that naturally rather than adding cornstarch or something else to thicken it. I want it to be more like a gravy than like a soup. So we're still working on that. The beans are softening. I've been adding little sprinkles of salt periodically to stir up and taste it to make sure it's well seasoned. We're starting our rice now too. Okay, here we are. Red beans and rice. I took out the ham hocks and the salt pork and the bay leaves. And this is what's left. Nice thick beans with andouille sausage and rice. We're ready for my taste test. Ashley had her taste test. What was her reaction?
It's a 100 out of 10, and I kept going back for more.
Awesome.
Even
Despite our
I'm
strict
full.
rules.
Yes.
That's what I remember.
It was
That's
all
outstanding.
around amazing. All around perfect.
Wow. You really benefit from having the salt pork and ham hock in there when it's cooking. The recipes I've seen these days don't include it, but you really should. But it's outstanding.
Perfect. It's like not too spicy, but there's a little heat, which is really, really good.
I'm picking up the cayenne. There's a lot of smokiness. So good.
Yeah, I want more, but I shouldn't.
Okay, 2 thumbs up.